Consumers are very aware of the thought process behind how you put content out. And ultimately here we're going to speak about brand-owned platforms, where rather than working through a different media agency or buying a spot, brands are really creating their own entertainment channels and their own storylines that consumers want to come back for more. There's no hiding whether it's content that's provided by the brand or not. This is brand content that the brand is very proud to provide and consumers are really excited to see.
So the first example we have here comes from HP Enterprise, which is sort of the B2B provider, or portion rather, of HP Technologies. And they're doing a really fun partnership with the new Star Trek movie. So I don't know if there are any Trekkies in the house, but that's coming out July 22nd. And basically what they did is they got an advanced copy of the script, and the screenwriters worked with engineers and technologists at HP to create plot points around a research project happening there called The Machine. And so if and when you go to see the next Star Trek movie, you'll actually be able to see 3 plot points that are inspired by HP technology. Instead of doing an ad campaign around Star Trek and the future of technology, as HP is trying to position themselves, they are actually able to integrate themselves directly into the plot of a movie in a way that feels very organic and still is able to position them as that future-forward company.
Very Blade Runner.
So the next trend we have here is diversified perspectives. And so this is really about giving consumers the opportunity to step into someone else's shoes and really amp up that emotional appeal. With new technologies like AI and VR especially, you really have these new opportunities to connect with consumers on that higher level.
So actually a great way that Diversified Perspectives comes in is through sponsorship. So American Express has been sponsoring the US Open now since 1994, knowing that a lot of their consumers are tennis fans, playing tennis, watching tennis, being in that culture. But how can you go beyond sponsorship? How can you actually give someone an opportunity to experience what it's like to play at the US Open or to see it more so? So American Express created a full VR experience called You versus Sharapova, where consumers or people that came to the US Open were able to put on a VR headset and return a 100-mile-an-hour serve from Maria Sharapova. So this is a great example of advertising that's actually innovating technology. This is the first example of a computer-generated image of an athlete, and it's one of the first examples of where you actually can live interact in virtual reality. So consumers you see here at the US Open were able to return this serve. Apparently, from what we've heard, it was extremely scary, and no one wanted to do it again. But at the time, it really was a great way to provide a new perspective that you would really never see at the US Open as someone that's coming to as a spectator. And so now that we talk about all those cool diversified perspectives, how can we really speak to utility through content? And a great way to do this is through education. As brands, we have a ton of R&D experience. We're able to do a lot of research into our consumers and how they use our product, but how can we translate that into something useful for them by helping them educate to use their products to the best abilities and also to improve their lives?
So Quaker Oats had a really good example of this in partnership with Amazon's Alexa platform. As these smart technologies come into people's homes, they are an increasing resource for knowledge. So you can ask Alexa about anything from the weather to your schedule, and now you can even ask Alexa about how to create some recipes using Quaker Oats. This idea was really born from the popularity of Quaker Oats recipes on Pinterest. And so the brand decided to take this opportunity and teach Alexa a new skill. So Alexa can guide you through each step of creating recipes like overnight oats, which are very, very popular.
And perhaps an example that's maybe closer to home for any new parents in here, that babies and toddlers, about 25 to 30% have sleep issues, and parents sometimes just don't know how to get them to go to bed. Johnson & Johnson's a brand that really works in the sleep and bath space for babies. They're experts on this. They've been collecting research since the 90s about the sleep patterns of children. And around 2007, they realized that this information may be good in the form of a consumer-facing website. They've now taken that a step further and have created a bedtime baby app that lets you know step by step how to get your baby in a bath, how to get it settled down, and get it him or her ready for bed. I am not a parent yet. And so the question here ultimately becomes, how can you translate that R&D into something useful? Parents can then create their own lullabies based on this, and ultimately Johnson's becomes the participant in every bedtime conversation for parents and becomes a trusted source.